the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, five-time AFCON champions, coming out of absolute irrelevance in the wilderness of African football, winning the African Cup of Nations earlier this year in February in Gabon, their first AFCON title in 15 years since 2002. Cameroon have arguably been the worst African team at the World Cup in the last two editions, both in 2010 and in 2014. They didn't even qualify for the 2006 World Cup. Really, Cameroon for most of the 21st century has faded into near oblivion, and their superpower status within the African continent has sort of been relegated to just in name only. Well, the indomitable Lions made a return. They are back at the pinnacle of soccer in the continent of Africa, and they will be participating in the Confederations Cup this week. I believe this is Cameroon's third appearance. Maybe it's their fourth, I'm not sure. So they have a history in this tournament. Their record in the Confederations Cup is a little bit mixed. They failed to advance in 2001, but they did get to the final in 2003, right after that tragic loss of one of their players, Marc-Vivien Foe, in the semifinals against Colombia, who sadly died on the pitch in that tournament. So Cameroon enters this tournament sort of through a rebirth, a revival, so to speak, under new coach Belgian Hugo Broos, who has stated he is absolutely having the time of his life, having a lot of fun coaching this Cameroon side. And that's very important, to have a coach that's very passionate managing your team. Hugo Broos took a generally inexperienced Cameroon side all the way to glory at the African Cup of Nations when nobody considered them to be even a contender. And keep in mind, this was a team that sent this was a country, that sent a team to that tournament where the average age of the players were, I think, in their early 20s. So, and a lot of Cameroon's main starters refused the call to join camp at Gabon, choosing instead to remain at their club teams. Joel Matip is a prime example of this, and boy, am I sure does he regret that decision. Well, Cameroon brings notable players into this tournament, such as goalkeeper Fabrice Andoa, arguably one of the best goalkeepers in Africa at the moment, Sebastian Siani, Benjamin Mukanju, and in my opinion, the most important player for them, Vincent Aboubakar, the man who scored the winning goal at the AFCON 2017 and has scored a couple goals for them recently in friendly wins over Tunisia and Morocco. So I think Cameroon is the team in this tournament that could potentially play spoiler to some of the favorites. I consider them to be the dark horse entering this tournament, just like I mentioned in my last video when I talked about Germany for their team profile and predictions. So you take into account Germany is not bringing their best squad. You could see a team like Cameroon slip into that second position, finding themselves into the semifinals, and then from that point on, who knows where the wind blows, you know? The important thing is, this is a Cameroon side that is being guided with overall a good spirit, a good sense of confidence within their squad right now. And they are playing that way throughout 2017 so far. And I could definitely see them racking up as many as 6 points in this group. I could see them beating Australia and beating a German B team. However, I do believe when you break down their African Cup of Nations performance, you're going to see a team that got through, yes, with great coaching, but with a few string of lucky results. That penalty shootout win over Senegal was an absolute lottery. They were outplayed thoroughly throughout that match, and we all know that penalties is mostly a game of nerves and luck. To their credit, they did dispatch a Ghanaian side that had just made its 4th or 5th consecutive appearance in the AFCON semifinals. But that Ghana team this year at the AFCON was a shell of their former selves. They came through a difficult group with hosts Gabon, an underestimated Guinea-Bissau team, and a very strong Burkina Faso Stallions side as well. And make no mistake about it, they broke my Pharaohs' hearts in the final of the tournament, coming from behind at halftime to beat us 2-1, which is really quite some feat because I don't believe we had conceded any goals up until the semifinals of that tournament. So for us to have conceded 2 goals in the final after being ahead 1-0, that takes quite a lot of grit and determination on behalf of this young Cameroon team. However, entering this tournament, as much as I want to see Cameroon make a good accounting of themselves, I think they're against stiffer opposition here. There is no weak team in this group, whereas in Group A, you have arguably the 2 lowest ranked teams, maybe not through FIFA, but by the general consensus of most, the two worst teams in this tournament are New Zealand and Russia. Yes, I would say that Russia is not as good as Australia. So if Cameroon were drawn into that, I think I would rate them higher. But when you're playing against a German B team that is still very good, and a Chilean team that is going through a golden generation right now, I can't really see Cameroon finishing higher than 3rd in this group. I can see them, but I don't think they will in the end. I know I picked Germany to finish in 3rd, which means the only 2 teams left in this group have to fill out the 2nd and 4th positions, which means I think either Cameroon or Australia is going to go through, much to everyone's surprise. Not my surprise, but to a lot of people's bewilderment. Is it going to be Cameroon or Australia? I think that it should be Cameroon that comes in 2nd in this group, but I don't think it will be. I think that, before I get into Australia, because that's for my last Confederations Cup team profile and predictions video, I think, for the record, guys, this group is going to be so tight. I believe everyone in this group is going to win at least 1 game. I don't see anyone in Group B getting less than 3 points. That's my bold prediction. I think everyone will pick points off each other. But I don't see Germany performing as badly as some would think due to bringing a depleted squad. That's why I had Germany finishing in 3rd. I do think Cameroon is better than Australia. And I think Cameroon is going to beat Australia in that specific Group B match. I think they're going to win that game. Overall, points-wise, though, I have them finishing just short. And I do think Cameroon is going to put on a good performance. They're going to be proud of themselves. I am not underestimating them. I know the Hitman's going to tell me that I am counting them out. I'm not counting them out. But not everybody can go through. Not everyone can go through. I think Cameroon's going to finish bottom of this group. But they're not going to play like a team that finishes in 4th place. I think they're barely going to miss out on the 2nd spot because I think the race for 2nd is going to be very tight. So, where do I think Cameroon's going to finish in this group? 4th, but put it into context. It's not going to be like a 4th placed finish similar to New Zealand. It's going to be much more different than that. So I'll see you guys in my next video. Until then, peace out. I'm going to be talking about Australia tomorrow, and I'll give my knockout stage predictions for the Confederations Cup as well. Peace out, guys. Maybe I'll have another video out later today. Final time. Peace out.